My name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
And welcome to a WoW podcast, obviously episode number
28.
28. It's episode number 28. Welcome everyone who's here in the chat. Welcome everyone who's listening at home in their preferred podcast listening way.
We are multi-platform.
Exactly. Hopefully our mics are working today. We should really call this episode 28B, considering we did try it yesterday and it was thrown aside. It was aborted. It was chucked in the trash.
28C or D, actually. given we actually failed the first time, failed the second time, and then just binned it.
We
threw it away, but we are here with you today. Really excited to catch up on WoW news, talk about where we've been the past week.
That's right. We've got loads to talk about, including the WoW 20th anniversary concert in Switzerland that we went to, and with loads of other cool WoW creators. And someone, Evitel, in the concert, someone left their phone on and someone's phone went off in the concert. But who was it? Was it Nobble? Was it Annie Fuchsia? Was it Marcellian? Was it Evitel?
Was it you?
Or was it Taliesin? All will be revealed when we get to talking about that. But we've got loads of, hey, it's a Wednesday, so EU and NA have reset and have got all sorts of things going on, which we can talk about.
Hey.
Actually, in hindsight, maybe Wednesday's quite a good day to have a podcast.
Hold on. At first we were Thursday, and then we were like, no, that's too early. That's too late. And then we're doing Tuesday. Now we're saying it's too early. So you're saying Wednesday's the sweet spot?
I'm not saying
Are we going with Hump Day?
Tuesday's just fine, okay? If you're a Tuesday child, don't worry about it. You are valued, you are loved. All I'm saying is Wednesday, yeah, it's a chance. Like, for example, we'll talk about some things I've had a chance to go into game and do today in preparation for this episode.
Finally.
Which, if we'd done this episode yesterday, would not have been able to do.
Exactly. I've
would
done
not
some
have been able
stuff
to talk
since
about
yesterday as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, think about it. If we do it on a Tuesday, when we broadcast, it's usually when NA is down in maintenance. So literally, it is sort of the worst possible time for having anything you talk about out of date, because a mere hour after you finished, pretty much, the NA servers come up and then all different stuff is happening, you know?
Yeah,
so
but
maybe
also,
Wednesday's better, that's what I'm saying.
But also we have all those lovely NA folks with nothing to do but listen to the podcast. So
yeah,
I don't know.
No, you
know.
got a point there. You really do, yeah. So we'll be talking about all of that. It's going to be a very fun episode. Rico, Thank you for dropping a super chat before we even got going. Thank you. Yes. Don't forget that if you are watching live and you want to join in and ask us some questions, anything you like, World of Warcraft is better, but not necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
Drop us a super chat and we'll do a little roundup Q&A kind of thing at the end. Not that there's going to be anything that we discuss that you didn't want us to discuss, and we're going to leave no stone unturned. I can't imagine if you're sitting there going, oh, I hope they talk about this. We definitely will, because we're going to leave you satisfied. That's what this show is all about.
Yep.
And you can tell we are taking it very, very seriously today after our bad attempt yesterday. Do you know how?
How?
Because we are wearing our WoW podcast, obviously, uniform.
Oh,
that's right. Do you want to stand up and show us your fit?
do I?
Yeah, you do because you probably haven't noticed because you barely even looked at me today, but we are wearing pretty much exactly the same clothes.
Okay, but Tally, I'm wearing dark khaki green trousers, and you're wearing charcoal.
Yeah,
trousers.
but from a distance and on camera, they look like charcoal.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're wearing.
the same thing.
Yeah, my shirt's on the back. You should take it.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Like we're both wearing, like for those who unfortunately can't see, it's a shame, but because we look so good, we're both wearing textured knit cream sweaters
jumpers
and dark trousers. We can't go out together to pick up the kids. We have to go out one by one, because if people saw us walking down the street, they'd roll their eyes so hard.
And knowing us, we'd put on our Adidas handball special trainers.
That's what I did wear when I took Annie to the...
Yeah, the black ones with the white stripes, which we also have the same shoes. Old people fashion, correct. But I only do old people fashion for the podcast because my young person fashion comes out when we go out and we go places.
Oh, good segue.
Yeah.
Wait, what I was thinking, do you want to do the concert stuff first, or do you want to do like kind of news stuff new news stuff that's kind of hit today. Because I've been playing a lot of WoW this morning because it's.
Do you want
the
to talk
new...
about WoW then?
Yeah, it's
let's
the
start by talking
reset.
about WoW.
We can get to the concert any old time, right? But we were doing the a bit of WoW today. I saw you playing some WoW. So big news, right? In the World of Warcraft today is that Delves and Zekvir in particular, he's easy now.
Is he?
He is falling. Oh, you just need to go in there. You just need to look at him. That dude's going to fall down. His arms are all going to fall off like they do. He's going to be all like, nah, she will not be pleased. And you're going to smush him like a bug. In fact, you just go in there. He's going to fly against your windscreen and just squish everywhere. And you're not even going to have to fight him. And he's down. And you do that at level 8 or, level question mark, 1 question mark. Yeah. That dude falls down. It counts as a level 8 delve. You just go in there. You do that 8 times. It's much, much quicker than doing 8 delves. And you just get your hero track all the way along in your great vault.
So I actually did, but just before this podcast, I did my first Zekvir 1 question mark.
I did see you doing it, but I didn't see if you completed it or not.
I did complete it. Of course I completed it.
Well, I was afraid to ask.
Of course I did.
Well, look, you looked very... I did see you die a couple of times. I looked around and I saw and I heard clicking and I heard a... Oh, and it wasn't like a sexy. It was that bug just smushed me.
Well, so here's the thing. I went in like right after a couple weeks ago, like right after we first came out, and it was like 560 or something or whatever. Like my gear level was pathetic, and he just one shot me instantly, and I was like, this is not content for me. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna gear up, and like now I'm like 607 or 8 or something. So I was
that's very good. You didn't even do a casual raid last night.
No, I didn't. I know, I was too tired. But yeah, I mean, my vault was like extremely piddly. But so anyway, I was like, you know what? I hadn't thought about it for a little while. We were away, and I was like, oh, you know what? I feel like it's time. And I want to do it. And the way I think like you, Tally, I like to go in and figure it out on my own.
Oh yeah,
like
you didn't read any guides.
Exactly. I love guides. I will turn to guides, but I like if I can go in for the first couple, if I can go in and do it myself, I prefer to do it myself. One of the reasons why I still don't have all of the skywriting glyphs, because they're just a couple I haven't found yet.
Oh, I don't think I've got them all.
I don't have them all yet because I just haven't found them. But I'm like, no.
Yeah, well, there's no real need to apart from. Did you get a mount or did you get just a title or achievement?
I think you just get an achievement. And
surely they're going to give you a mount for getting all the skywriting glyphs.
And I was just
Chat, help us out. You get a mount, right? You get a cool mount that I'm sorry I don't have.
Yeah. So that's just me. I used to, if it's later on in the expansion, I might go, okay, it's time for a guide. I'll go do it, or I'll actively look for them. Anyway, I went in to Zekvir, and I died. I got hit by a cone, and I was like, that's what that does. And then,
Sorry, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall. I was in this room, but I was also busy. When the cone came out and you were standing in it and you were like, I'm just going to science this and wait to see what happens.
Yeah,
we got some people in our raid like that. They were just like, I was just standing in the cone to see what happened. I was just sciencing that. It's like, I've been playing this game a while. I could have told you what was going to happen if you stood in the cone.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, I'm a hunter, so I can take the cone. But I also had like a slow on me. And then I'm like, I can't actually get out of the cone. And then I got hit by the cone and I was like, okay, I'm dead. And then I did a couple of times, and then eventually like all of the mechanics became clear to me. Like I saw the little spider guy is about to hatch. I saw his like cone, and I was like, okay, you know what? Bran feels kind of helpful. I have my pet mostly tanking for me, so long as I can keep my pet alive.
Oh, that's sweet. Nice one.
Did
you have Bran on deeps or heals?
Heals. I always like having him on heals because he heals at my pet. So
very useful.
Exactly. So my hunter strategy is I have my pet basically tanking. Even a tanky pet will, drop health pretty quickly. But I have all of my pets health regeneration and whatever, just abilities that basically give them more health. And Bran throws pots at me, I'm avoiding all of the many of the mechanics. I'm
Dude,
standing
that's
out.
what Turtle is for, okay?
Oh yeah.
you know.
Well, I turtle when my pet dies and I need to res the pet, and Zekfir's like, and I'm just like in my little shell, like resing my pet. And
That's actually really cool.
It is
like
actually, it is good. And so I got into a rhythm, and then I died like a couple of times, maybe like three or four times, just because I was like, oh, okay.
You got to get another fight, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, okay, I've got this. And kept getting my little health pots, and I did it, and it felt good. It took a few minutes. Like, it's not instantaneous. You have to do it. You have to do like mechanics. You can't. There's no way of cheesing it. But I was like, oh, okay, that felt good. Would I do double question mark? Maybe I might actually read a guide for that one, and I might have to like strategize.
So
I saw you were doing
well,
that.
I was. So here's my
How did
story.
that go?
Did you enjoy it though? Your single question mark.
I did enjoy it. I will probably do it a few more times, seeing as that's the best way to fill up your vault.
Well, it really is. You go in there, and I probably will go in there with my main and do it, because that heroic track in your vault is still super useful while we're all trying to get the best optimized gear, and just like most people are kind of going around with one bit of trash gear at the moment. Like if you're playing the game regularly and you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and you're doing your Mythic Plus, and you're doing your raids, and you're doing your open world content and things like that. A lot of people are in a situation where they might have their 2 or 4 set, right? But like one of the bits in their 4 set is going to be like a champion, or maybe even a veteran or something like that piece of gear. And like, they're going to have like one ring or their wrists or something, which is going to be like 590 or 584 or something like that.
Useless,
like a lot of people in that situation right now where they're good, their item levels like 610, 614, something like that, but they just happen to be rocking some 590 wrists, or like there's one bit of kind of champion gear in their 4 set or whatever. So that heroic track is still super useful at the moment. I really, really like it. And it's just free gear, right? So you go in there, you bop Zekvir 8 times, and for alts and stuff, it's brilliant. I love it. So I completed it on, if you just do it on the scrub version, on the single question mark version, you get like an achievement, and like a title, I think, as well.
I think the title might be from the big one.
Oh,
the big guy.
right, okay. But essentially, it works on your track as a level 8 delve, right? So if you go in there, it's never a bountiful delve, but I think if you go in there and you if you've got a map and you use the map as well. So it's Carl I'm going at. So that will give you like a lovely bit of gear in there as well, which is fantastic. So it's definitely worth doing, and particularly on my alts, I've really been enjoying it, because it has had big nerfs in the last couple of weeks. That's why it's suddenly very, very doable, both with 1 question mark and 2 question marks. And I've been in there with my 598 Paladin, my Rep Paladin, who absolutely demolished Zekvir.
Wow.
Just absolutely, absolutely slew, mate. So I did that 8 times. And it's actually really good, because, it's basically like fighting a raid boss, which is a bit harder than LFR, and you're just by yourself, so you get to do all the DPS, and it's just a really nice way of kind of like just enjoying the rotation of an alt that you might not play that often, and might not play in group content very often. And when do you ever get to just like use your boss rotation for like 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool, actually. That's a good point. It was good practice of just like doing my single target rotation for a while.
Yeah. You get a brand curio as well. You get the Zekthir brand curio. When you do
I already got that one.
Did you? Where did you get that from?
I got that one when we fought, when Zekthir showed up in a delve.
No way.
Yeah, and then I got that one. I can't remember, but it came. I had it. Like, I think I got it at the end of that delve. So I
absolutely destroyed him on my Rep Paladin, but that's Rep Paladin. Rep Paladins don't count because they're indestructible. So I went in with my, speaking of indestructible, I went in with my my DK then after that, and this was last night. This was just to bump up my my vaults for today when I opened them, right? So I went in with my DK, and I went in as Frost just because I hadn't played Frost at all this expansion yet, and absolutely slew, absolutely destroyed.
Nice.
And got my 8 really, really quick. And it's like, it's a third of the length of doing a normal delve. You go in, you have a good old fight, and it gets a bit repetitive when you've done it 8 times in a row. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Classic WoW, some YouTube on the second monitor, stuff like that.
It.
Yeah, exactly. And then this morning, I went in with what I consider to be the most difficult class to do delves on, which is the Fire Mage, just to test it. And my Fire Mage is like 580 something. So I went in and did that. And it took me a couple of tries to kind of get my rhythm and stuff like that. But after that, I was bopping it and just absolutely slaying and absolutely destroying again. So
nice.
A really, really good way of getting your heroic track, delve, Great Vault Row filled up. Now, maybe you're sitting there thinking, oh, look, I can do delves, Tally. That's fine. And I can go in and I can take those at my own pace. But the idea of doing Zek there, that's like some mage tower shit. That does not appeal to me. I'm not that kind of player. I went in once and I got completely destroyed and face rolled by that dude. And it's just not my kind of thing. I don't fancy doing it anymore. Well, let me give you some tips because it is very, very easy now. If you know what you're doing. Now, when you're doing it, like the whole double question mark is a whole different kettle of fish. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But when you're doing the single question mark Zekvir delve, then there's basically only kind of 2 things you need to worry about. Avoid all of the ground AoE, obviously. Take my word for it, Evie. That cone will kill you.
It will
take
kill
my
you.
word for it. That kind of like
But
circle
Tally,
around him will kill you.
What happens? What happens if you get slowed while you're in the cone? Because that kept killing me.
Very good
And
question.
Bran stopped dispelling me.
That is one of the 2 things you have to worry about. Because if you have a Bran healer, go Bran healer. Like, that's the best thing to do for that. So go Bran healer, give him the kind of the idol that works as a tank thing when it comes down for a little bit.
Oh, I didn't.
And heals you the Titanic thing. And the stone, which makes you faster or gives you haste or whatever, the amorphous kind of stone thing.
Yes, I use that one.
Except on Fire Mage, instead of using the Titanic tanking thing, I use the arrowhead, which increases your critical strike chance.
That's the one that I used. Those are the 2 that I used.
For Fire Mage, that's just great. That's really cool. So I use that then.
So
the 2 things you really have to worry about, apart from dodging all the mechanics, which obviously you've got to do. You want to avoid that dot. So in the double question mark version of it, you want to save your interrupt for a very important mechanic, but you don't have to do that in the single one. So I say my thing is, honestly, just interrupt him every time he starts casting it, because your interrupt will always be off cooldown.
My DBM clearly wasn't saying anything.
No, he didn't want you to. So you might just want to set up a little kind of week or reminder, or just keep an eye on him. And every time he starts casting it, I find on the single question mark, you're not going to use your kick for anything else. Just interrupt that shit. It's not worth kind of getting hit by it. But if you do get hit by it, it's a dot and it's slow and it's the same ability. So if you have any abilities that remove snares or slows, it won't just remove the snare, it will remove the damage dot as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. So like I can fade as a priest when I get hit with that dot. And it doesn't just like get rid of the slow, it gets rid of the whole dot.
What if I disengage as a hunter? Will that drop the whole thing?
Get you out of snares?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll do it.
What?
Yeah,
okay.
So you can just, if you do happen, my advice would be just to interrupt it.
Okay.
But if you do get hit by it, anything that kind of gets rid of movement impairing effects or anything like that will get rid of it. Yeah, and that's a game changer. I don't think a lot of people realize that.
I don't realize that. And also, like I say, because DBM was completely silent, and I was like, why? No one's telling me what to do. So I'm just gonna have to figure it out myself. So another thing that that caught me was when the first like little spiders, you know. What do you call them?
Okay, so like standard tactic, as soon as that egg appears, you don't want it to hatch.
Exactly.
So you just like, you know, if you have to, save your cooldowns for when the eggs appear and just bop it. Generally, I find on most classes, I don't have to do that on the single question mark one. But on my mage, I did. I was saving my cooldowns for that. So yeah, you just absolutely hammer that egg when it appears. Do not let it hatch.
Yeah, well, so I didn't. So when I first saw the eggs, I was like, I clearly don't want those to hatch. But then as I like did a couple of runs, I got a little bit cocky and I was like, how bad can it be? And I let it hatch, and I'm like, oh, it's just the little guy, and then the little guy keeps webbing me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's why. And then another little guy came up, and then it was
That's why when I'm doing it on Shadow Priest, I go Void Weaver, is because it's on the 30-second cooldown, it's big burst, and it's up for every egg, and I just hold off in it, and I zap it. So yeah, that's what you want to do. And if you are bopping the egg, even if it hatches, the spider will have like health proportionate to how much health the egg had when it hatched. So if you were almost destroyed the egg, then the spider will hatch with basically no health. And you can just kill him really quick.
I gotcha.
But do kill him. That's the important thing. So yeah, like just don't just kill the eggs, and that's it. Use anti-snare effects if you get hit by the dot, but interrupt it would be my advice.
Got it.
And just absolutely bop the egg every time it's up. I find that when the egg is like cast, Zekthir is going to do an ability in between the egg being cast and the egg, being targetable.
Right.
So, like, don't go, like, when he kind of casts the egg, give it a moment, because he's about to do an AoE. So he's about to do either a cone, or he's about to do the big circle, or he's about to do the web thing. You can, like, wait for that to be in progress, like he's facing a certain direction, he's doing it, before you start moving towards the egg or whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Like, and that's easy game right there.
Yeah.
For the single question mark one. And that tactic's gonna work on every single class, because you will be surprised how many kind of like get out of snare abilities classes have if you look at them.
Bet.
And just
Really
like spec into that shit for it. Like have yourself a little Zekthir talent build.
Nice.
With survivability and like speed and getting out of snares and stuff. Because I was looking at my Fury Warrior, I'm gonna do it my Fury Warrior after this, who's like 540, I think. Literally just hit max level. But I fancy my chances, honestly, because I was going through the talent tree, and they've got like 3 abilities that get him out of snares. So it's just gonna be nice and easy, and hopefully it should be okay. So that's my advice for the single question marks. And I did that on my main. I did it as Disc Priest actually a little while ago, when it was still hard back in the old days.
Yeah,
back
way
in the good old days
back
when men were
when.
men.
I remember.
Before Blizzard like dumbed this game down for the casuals. Back in the good old days before they started giving out free loot. So yeah, we did that. But I have been doing it on my other characters, and after doing it on my other characters yesterday, I was like, well, it is very easy now. So on my main, maybe I'll try the old double question mark one. And I went in, and man, for half the fight, it's the exact same mechanics, but that shit kicked my ass when I first went in there.
I bet it did.
Absolutely smushed me, because I was like, I know what's going on. I know the plan.
I've done this before.
Yeah, exactly. I did eventually get it down after a couple of hours of trying really, really hard. And I think I'd be able to get it down anytime I wanted now. There was only a little bit of luck involved, I think. I mean, I've got no reason to, in fairness, on my Shadow Priest again. But yeah, I did it as Shadow, and it's really good. It's the exact same mechanics. Obviously, everything's got a lot more health. Everything hits a lot harder. Bran, when he's tanking for you, is probably going to die a couple of times, and you've got to kind of deal with that, because there's going to be little phases where you ain't getting those healing potions. Because those healing potions are very, very useful. Really,
really useful, actually.
Sorry, I've still got like a really bad cough, which isn't great for a podcast, I know, sorry. But then at 60% health, and the fight takes ages, by the way.
I bet.
The fight takes like 11 minutes. It's like a proper kind of Sylvanas boss fight or something. But at 60%, he goes into like this whole new phase where all of his abilities get like an extra effect.
Oh.
So the the fear circle around him?
Yeah.
Okay. It's got 4 balls that spawn on the 4 points around the circle, and they zoom out when the fear finishes.
Okay.
So like, you've got to keep, not just get out of the fear, but you've got to, and the balls, guess what color they are?
Purple.
Yeah, exactly. So they're quite hard to spot.
I bet.
And like when everything else is going on as well, you're like, oh my god, okay. So you got to make sure you don't get hit by those. When he does the web effect, it does go straight out in front of him, but also up to about, I've seen 6 portals will spawn around the room as well.
Okay.
And he fires that web in front of him, but it goes into a portal.
No.
And it comes out of other portals.
No.
Just like okay, so Blizz might have not done it for the cinematic like I suggested with Ilaria and Xalatath, but they clearly had the idea for Zekvir, right? And yeah, so you've got to make sure you're not in between any portals that are facing each other, because that web is going to come out and like, you know, go across portals. And if you get, I've been hit by one as it came out of the 5th portal, and it drags you, and you go disappearing through 5 different portals up to him, and then get smushed. Obviously, yeah, every single one of these is a one shot. Obviously, you get hit by the orb, get hit by the fear, it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And his cone. Oh, his cone is the same, but he'll always do the cone straight after like another
okay
thing. So you know, it's the nastiest one, and he'll just do it straight after something else every time. So like, you've got to make sure you stay with him the whole time, so you can actually avoid it.
To him,
which is hard when you're arranged. You're like, oh,
yeah, I know, because I was like bouncing away, and then I was like,
yeah,
this cone is quite big actually.
He has a thing where he starts spawning like spikes that come out of the ground, little swirlies everywhere, and they come in like waves of 2 sets, you know, like cover up. Yeah, it's horrible. And he has a this is actually an ability that he does normally through the fight as well, not just in phase 2. He has a healing ability.
Oh,
so that's what you want to save your interrupt for, because he'll just start channeling a healing ability. And little minx, he'll always use it just a little bit after he's cast the dot. So sometimes you kick the dot by mistake, and then if you're used to doing that in the single like question mark,
yeah,
but you can't. You just have to take the dot in the double question mark and use your anti-snare effect to wipe the dot.
To get it away,
like, yeah, that's what you got to do. As soon as you get, like, Bran will often dispel it for you, or interrupt it himself.
He did it like once for me, and then he was like, "Oh, don't let. We're not gonna let that get you," you know, or something like whatever he said. Not this time. And then literally every other time. And I think it's dispel he kicks in like once every 2 minutes or something. So that's like 1.
I feel like he does it more in the higher difficulty one, but that could just be because the fight is much longer.
It's possible. It's possible. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, cool. This actually is kind of selling me on double question mark level.
And you've got to save your interrupt for, because like he'll heal 10% of his health if he does it in the first phase. He'll heal 25% of his health if he does it in the second phase.
Sucks.
And that fight is already lasting long enough, man. You just don't want to be doing that. So yeah, to the extent where if I let the cast go through first time, like it doesn't hurt you, right? And you're still just doing the mechanics the same as you would be otherwise. But I'm just like, oh fuck this, I'm just starting again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Oftentimes. So yeah, and I actually had to always set Zekvir as my target and set up a weak aura that told me when he was casting it, and have like a macro that my interrupt targeted him and kicked. So I don't have to be facing him. I just have to press my button.
Okay. Useful.
And yeah, because he'll always cast it when you're kind of attacking the egg as well, because he knows you're not targeting him.
He's like,
he's doing it. He's a little minx. But I did do it, and I got the reward.
Yeah,
which
the
is
void dirigible,
the void dirigible, which is amazing. I was like, I am such a big bollocks right now. I'm going to get in my void dirigible, and I'm going to fly around Donegal, and everyone's going to be like, oh, who's that fucking Chad? Who's that dude there? He's amazing. Let's go over and tell him. No, we can't talk to him. He's too cool for us. We're just going to stand here, and we're just going to look at how awesome he is in his void dirigible. And there was about 6 void dirigibles out there when I
of course there were.
Yeah, it was I didn't feel like such a Bertie.
You know, it was this, it's always like that. It was the same thing in Dragonflight with like the Mythic Farrak like skins and that he drops and stuff. Like suddenly everyone is just like a flaming Farrak mount, and I was like, just me. It's just I'm literally the only person who does not have this. Like, oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But it's like that. It's like people like automatically get all the good stuff, and I am happy for them. I'm delighted.
Not happy
for them
at all. I hate them. They suck. But yeah, so that's the that's Zekvir. And
nice.
I think I've seen you do Mage Tower on a trackpad, so I know you can do Zekvir double question mark, or as I like to call it, Zekvir.
Zekvir? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's worth doing. It's worth doing just for that. And obviously, like, you get a feat of strength if you do it like this season.
Yes.
As well.
Cool.
Sort of like, you know, while it's kind of relevant content and what have you. And I loved it. I love the entire thing. It's going to be, you know, pretty much my favorite way. Now, of course, it's never going to be a bountiful delve, so it's not going to level up Bran, and it's not going to give you
a rubbish delve trinket.
well, it's not going to give you a rubbish delve trinket, but it's also not going to give you Delver's Journey
Of course,
experience in your Delver's Journey. So if that's important to you, and it's probably important to me, I want to get that filled out before the end of the season, then obviously you might want to look at doing some bountiful delves and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But it's easily the quickest, most efficient, and I think genuinely the most fun way. It genuinely feels like you're playing WoW solo, but like at a high level and properly. And, you know, I love doing it on different characters and different classes. It feels just enough like the Mage Tower for it to be really, really good. And I'll probably try it on higher difficulty levels on different classes as they level up and stuff and they gear up and stuff as well. But I am looking forward to trying it with my newly dinged Fury Warrior after this. Maybe I'll do it on stream because I'll probably stream on Twitch after this.
Yeah. And don't forget that this is Delve Week, basically. So all of the quests that are up, like for the Pinnacle Cache, I think it's like do 5 delves.
This is true.
And then there's another quest that Bran gives you to do 3 delves.
But they have to be in Khazalgar.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
Zekvir isn't going to count for that.
Yeah, but that's fine. It's just it's Delve Week. Like
it is.
It's
Delve
like
week, man.
do your delves.
Now that Raid is officially over, congratulations, Liquid. Well done them. Did you watch any of the Race to World First?
You know what? Very little, considering that we were away for most of it. And I know I probably could have sat around like on Lake Geneva watching the Race to World First, but I did not. And
by the way, neither were any of the other creators that we were with, by the way.
Exactly.
They didn't give a shit. We were like, do you want to watch Race to World First? Now,
like, no, I'm gonna eat like some fromage on the lake with my wine. See you later. So no, actually, this is this year. I didn't have a huge amount of time to watch, but it was really good to see that there are lots of like different people casting it. There are loads of like different little streams going on, and it looks like it was a pretty cool race, especially towards the end. Some really excited, heated moments. So, but no, I did not get to see most of it. But congrats to Liquid, well done.
Yeah. So my understanding of it is, I watched a fair bit more than you, but not as much as I usually do. And my understanding is that Liquid were pretty much flawless all the way through in terms of their like their reclears and the way they approached fights, and they were just like incredibly slick and solid and playing out their skins to the extent where honestly there was never really a moment in the race where it didn't look like they were going to win. They like just approached it so professionally and just, you know, took the bull by the horns. And so like just I love Race to World First, even though it's like, it's mind-numbingly corporate now. It's like, you know, it's not as punk as it used to be.
No, it used to, I get what you mean. There used to be a time where you had like a couple of big orgs running their stuff, and it was still a little bit like slapdash. And it felt like, a bit scrappy. But now it is a very slick production from
and I like that as well.
every
I think
side.
there's great things about that, which I really admire. I love that a bunch of casters can get paid really well for, and I love that the people doing the race can get paid well for doing it as well. I love all the money that they can raise for charity. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah,
it is really good.
All in all, really, really cool. But yeah, so basically, Delve Week, it's all about the Delves now, and the Mythic Plus, because there was a new Mythic Plus affix this week, Evie. Do you know anything about it?
It's the new Xalatath one.
Yeah, because I've played it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, well, if I'm going to talk about this on the Wednesday podcast, I'm going to have to play this, maybe even get some footage, and I did. So I jumped into I opened my Great Vault first on all my characters. Did you do that today?
I did.
How did that go for you?
I had one slot. Because I did
we've been
2
away.
delves. I know, and I was gonna do guild raid last night, but then just did not. But and it was bracers, which I don't want to use because that's one of my really good crafting slots.
So did you take the like medallions?
I actually took the bracers for now because they're a tiny upgrade before I get my bracers recrafted.
Fair, honestly, yeah.
So yeah. So tell me about this new.
Well,
Affix.
wait, I had so just.
Your vault. Your vault.
Some
Sorry.
vault things, 'cause,
My
I had
vault was
I had a
yeah.
whole 616 like track
Very
for
nice.
delves on my
Ooh.
mage, on my no, not on my mage, on my paladin and my demon hunter. And obviously on my priest as well. But I also had a full Mythic Plus track on my main as well, on my priest.
Yeah.
Hadn't done any raiding this week though because of the trip. So yeah, on my main I got a hat, which was my tier piece, and I went into this with
good.
2 bits of tier.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
1 charge in the catalyst. So I needed a bit of tier that wasn't a bit of heroic gear that I already had, so I could change that bit of heroic gear into a tier and get my full set. You see.
Nice.
So I got a hat,
Very good.
tier piece hat.
Lovely.
But I already have a heroic hat, and it's better than the tier piece.
Oh.
So I was like, and I also got trousers, heroic track trousers,
Nice.
which I took.
Very good.
I took those, and I also so what it meant was I had to, but they weren't tier.
No.
So
You catalyze those.
yeah, I had 2 catalyst charges.
Nice.
So I catalyst the trousers, but then I also catalyst the chest piece that I have, which is only champion.
Look,
So I got my
most of
4th set, but one of the bits is champion.
I have the 4 sets, and I think 2 or 3 pieces of it are champion, just maxed out. And
Yeah.
for now, that's good for me. Like that does me.
Yeah.
Now, Tally, I have to ask: do you ever sim yourself?
No.
You have to do it.
No, I don't.
You
do
have
it.
to do it.
Look, as you know, I take this game very seriously. I've made my living out of it for the last like 8 years.
Yeah, Tally, that's insane.
I am objectively, undeniably, indisputably a professional World of Warcraft player.
Very
There's no
indeed.
argument about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes in my chat, people try and argue with this, and they're like, "You're not a professional World of Warcraft player. You're a professional World of Warcraft commentator." I'm like, "What am I doing right now, bitch? I'm playing the game." Making money, making the bread for my family. When my little boy comes out Christmas Day and there's a nice little bike or an air gun waiting for him, I'll be like, careful, don't take out your eye. And I'll be like, you know what paid for that? My World of Warcraft playing.
Exactly.
My professional World of Warcraft. When we go out shopping and you go, oh, Tally, what a lovely diamond necklace in that window over there. And I'm like, babe, I'm going to buy you that diamond necklace. And you're like, oh, no, we can't afford it. And I'm like, sharp, no one tells me what to buy. Come with me. And I take you by the arm and we go in the diamond shop. And the woman in the diamond shop, she's looking at us snooty. She's like, well, they're exquisitely dressed, but they don't have upper class features. No. And, she's looking at, and I'm like, I'd like to see the diamond necklace, please. And she's like, and she's all sneering, like, security. These guys can't afford the diamond necklace. And I'm like, do you accept cash? And I pull out my card and I'm like, because I can go to the machine, I can get some cash out with this card right here if that's all you accept. And then she's like, oh, sorry, sir, let me wrap it up for you. And I was like, I'm going to get it from a different diamond shop because I don't like the way you looked at me. And then we'll walk out. But do you know who pays for that? Do you know how we pay for that?
Yeah.
My World of Warcraft playing.
Exactly,
okay, my professional World of Warcraft playing. Every time we get our private jet somewhere, you know what pays for that? Our my World of Warcraft playing. Okay, so I take it very seriously. However, I've never simmed my character once in my entire life.
Even I do it.
One single time.
And when I say sim, I don't mean like go hardcore. Like just use Ask Mr. Robot. Like Ask Mr. Robot, and then you literally ask Mr. Robot, like, what's my best choice here? Where should I, focus? What should I put in the catalyst? And it just shows you what's your best gear and what to target next. It is so simple. You have to sim. Now, when you say that your hat was like, not an upgrade, it's extremely likely that having it as the 4 set would have been an upgrade, but you wouldn't even know.
No. Well,
because
I do know because Automatic Jack told me on Wowhead. Okay?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I know that, and also I know what my best stats are, right? So I know that the tier helmet has worse stats on it than the other 4 tier pieces.
Right.
So I want to make up my tier set with those other 4 pieces.
Okay,
So
fair.
If I had Catalyst
No,
in my
that's
helmet,
fair. That's fair.
I
That's
would, because
understandable.
I've got a helmet with crit haste on my BIS stats, right? So if I did Catalyst that, it would turn it into haste mastery, which isn't as good for me.
Okay.
And all that would have meant was I would have been waiting to get the chest piece to make up the 4 set that I actually wanted, and then once I got my chest piece, I'd have been looking to replace the helmet again.
Right, okay.
With the better helmet that I'd already given up.
Okay.
That
Okay.
I'd already turned into. So by catalyzing the chest and it only being champion, what I've done there is I still just need the chest, but when I get the chest, I won't have to also then get the helmet as well. So
Right.
it's definitely better. Thanks, automatic Jack. Thanks, Wowhead.
Just
But no,
checking.
you are right, of course. Like, and when it gets to the nitty gritty, but I think disc is quite. I think it's quite simple in terms of stats. You want the haste, so you go Brur. You want the crit, so you go Ping. And when you're doing Mythic Plus, you want the verse, so you go and when stuff hits you and you don't die. It's very, very simple. It's all good. So anyway, then after opening my vault,
Yes.
and I went up 1 whole item level.
Very nice.
And then I went into
done.
a dungeon to try this new affix and test it so I could report back
yes.
to you.
Tell me
dear
all
listeners
about it.
And dear wife. Yeah, exactly. So do you remember the affixes that we've had so far? The first one we had in the first week was all the balls that fell down.
In just like
2 at a time.
Yeah.
In 5 sets, so 10 all in all, and you waited for them all to be landed. And if you were me, you hit fear, and they all disappeared.
And they're all gone,
And
yeah.
then you all had a bunch of haste.
and that was it.
Man, I loved that affix.
That was a really good one.
That affix was so good.
That
I'd just
that
be standing
flew
there.
us through Grim Batol.
Yeah, and I would,
Yeah.
seriously. And I love getting blown through Grim Patrol. Basically, getting blown through Grim Patrol is the only way to make that dungeon fun. It's like, well, we didn't time it, but at least I did get blown.
Right. And
So yeah, like I love the haste. I love how easy it was. I love how simple it was. I'd stand there as
Yeah.
those balls came down, raining down on my head, and I'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit fear, profit.
Phew.
Last week's was a bit more annoying.
I didn't do last week.
So you had a big ring of orbs that Zali would pop up, and she'd be
Nice.
like, she had a line from a BFA cinematic, which is really good because they're just ripping the lines and
Yeah,
like,
of
throwing in
course.
there. Well done, Delves. Just like
Yeah.
gaffer taping that together. I love it. And it would be a big ring around her, and the orbs would start to come in, and you'd have to collect them. And for everyone you get like a mastery buff. But for everyone that got absorbed by a baddie, they get like a damage buff.
Right.
So, like you wanted to collect them all to get your 10 stacks of mastery
That
buff.
sounds like a pain.
It was a real pain, and they
Actually.
come through in like groups of 2 as well, so it'd be 5 and then
Okay.
5.
And then you just need to
And fine, whatever, man. It was fine. And this week, Zali pops up and she summons like an emissary who has like a shield that you have to zap through and a little bit of health.
Oh, okay.
But basically a full bar
Yeah.
of shield and health. But that's important because what that means is you can use your execute abilities on the emissary straight away because their health is only like 20%.
Nice.
And all of it is shield.
Okay.
So like, they're on 20% health, even though they've got a full health bar with the shield. So like you can just use your execute abilities. It's quite cool. So you just have to like get that down. And if you do, then you get a cooldown reduction effect for whatever it is, 15 seconds or something. Which is not as immediate as a haste buff.
No.
But for some classes, oh my god, it's like so useful. Over the
okay.
course of an entire dungeon,
Sure.
that's going to
Sure.
give you like 3 extra PIs. That's going to give you like, multiple extra kind of big cooldown bursts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But if the cast, if you don't kill it, then it'll do a cast, which gives the baddies like damage reduction, I think. So yeah. And I have seen people talking about this online, where who did I see on Twitter complaining that it slows the dungeon down quite a lot.
I bet.
Because if the orbs kind of summoned while you were running to a different pack, and they
You
were
gotta
behind-
go.
No, you didn't have to bother with them.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
It's like whatever, man.
Yeah.
Whereas this thing,
Yeah.
you gotta take it with you.
Yeah,
And
okay.
you gotta take it into a boss, and that can really slow you down because you can't give up on the the cooldown reduction. It's just not worth it. So yeah, but I'm gonna say I found it really, really fun. I thought it was a really good one. I thought it was like easier to execute than last week's Ring of Orbs.
Right, I didn't even touch the ring, so
I know, no matter how much I asked, not even on my birthday.
Yeah, so no, I look forward to giving that one a spin this week, because this week we're at that, at least for me, at that point in the expansion where I've done a lot of the stuff. What's left now is just to like gear up, do some Mythic Plus, keep cranking out my delves. Like it feels good.
Are you still on course to get your what were you trying to get in Mythic Plus this season?
Oh, I mean, I would like to get the Keystone Master.
Oh right, yeah, sure. You still want to?
I think so. Seeing as I didn't play a single key last week, we went through Grimbatol. We didn't have a great time. Yeah. But that's not your fault. Grimbatol has been heavily nerfed this reset, but it was nasty before that. It was really horrible, predictably so. Of course, yeah. But yeah, no, I'd like to actually do some keys, and I think the key to it is just getting online during the day when our kind of dedicated guildy crew and go through together. Popping, exactly. Don't pug it. Popping. No, I do not want. That's the thing. I do not. We'll do it on stream. We'll get Gary the carry to tank us through. It'll be great. I think that's the best way of doing it. And honestly, getting into Mythic Plus, if it's not something you do loads of, it's so easy these days because you can have the gear already in place because of delves and because of the Great Vault. Exactly. You can go in with your 4 set, right? It's not like gearing up through Mythic Plus and then having that bit at the beginning. That's what always put me off, is that like I would always be carried. I would always be really undergeared because it would be all like the heroic raid folks. Yeah. Who are doing the keys, and I'm like, me too, like a +2 back when it was, their higher numbers. But I still feel like that a little bit, but less like that, which is quite nice actually, which is good. Yeah. So I believe in you. I think we can do it. We just got to kind of knuckle down and do some streaming and stuff, and get that done. I'm kind of like, my comfort zone at the moment is 5s and 6s. And I'm going to need to do more than that, obviously, if I want my Keystone Master. Is it like 7s? You have to do 7s across the board? 7, but my aim is to do everything at 10 so I can get the portals. Ooh, very nice. Not that you need the portals anywhere, but that's like, so you get the cool transmog effect for Keystone Master, like you did in that one season Dragonflight. And I think that is such a perfect reward for Mythic Plus. That's such a great Keystone Master reward, because like what you want is a transmog, basically. And they'd never give you your own transmog every season for Mythic Plus. It would be a recolor. It'd be something like Gladiator. But Keystone Master's quite a bit easier to get than Gladiator, so I get it. And what they do instead is, when you've got your Keystone Master, you get the Mythic effect on your tier set appearances, but for every color version, from like LFR, normal, and heroic as well. That is cool. The extra glowy effect that the Mythic one has appears on, and you have the option when you go to Transmog tab of having it with or without the effect for every day. And it will be the correct color for the set and stuff like that as well. So it is such a good reward. And in Dragonflight, it was account wide. So I got the achievement on my priest, and it was on all my characters. Oh, sweet. They all had it on their gear. So it was, really, really cool. I was going to say, it's a shame because hunter sets are so shit. So it doesn't matter if they're glowy, but if it's account wide, or if it wasn't account wide, then, exactly. Hey, even better. You can play it on all your alts. You get the effect of all your many, many alts. Incredible. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was that. Just some other quick news as well that has been popping out in this most resettingest of days. The Eve's Ghastly Rider Skyriding mount is now available from the in-game shop. So everyone was complaining when the trading post hit yesterday. Have you seen the trading post, by the way? Yes, I have seen the trading post. What do you think of the trading post? I think it's great. I love the jellyfish. I know people are down on the jellyfish. People are very down on the jellyfish. But I love the jellyfish. What was the... Can you imagine people being down on the jellyfish when you've got the hand mount, which also sucks ass? Exactly. Are you kidding me? The hand mount is incredible. No. Have you seen the hand mount? When you go and look at the hand mount, it goes like this. It literally goes like this. It is hilarious. And I love the hand mount because I farmed the gold one. in Shadowlands, and it sucked because it was Shadowlands, and it was one of those, you know, when you are like gripped by this need to farm something, and I did the gold hand, the hand of Nihil Gamat or whatever. So I was really pissed to see the silver one come up this time, actually, because I was like,
and one of those people?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you know what? Well, no, actually, the silver one is rubbish compared to the gold one.
But the mount special, right? Yeah, it is rubbish.
It is. But
it's white like a ghost. It's like so. For those of you who can't see, because you're listening on, because for some reason I've remembered to put it up on like the podcast things this week. The hand motion that the hand mount does is like rolling the dice, and I'm doing it right now. I'm rolling some dice, but there's no dice. So what it looks like looks like wanking off a sailor.
No.
For those who can't see my hand right now,
sailor?
I'm doing the internationally recognized symbol for wanking off. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. All I'm saying is, right, okay, if you were driving somewhere and, you know, someone kind of overtook you, or like, you know, you overtook someone else, and you just wanted to tell them how much you liked the hand mount from WoW, and you did the mount special for them, because it's like, I just want to show them how much I like the hand mount from WoW, so I'll just do the mount special, and they'll be like, oh, I recognize that. I also like the hand mount from WoW. I mean, they'd get out and they'd punch you. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I do wish the hands were bigger. I'd like they could do with being even more epic, because like I just feel anyway. Yeah. So trading post this month. Yeah, the hand mount is on there. Oh, and the Swift Zebra is on there, which I didn't get the first time around, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that like just like 2 polygon zebra mount. I got that one. I picked up some other stuff from there actually. Oh, of course, the little, you know, scarecrow, whatchamacallit, transmog set. It's cute. It's nice. And I am a fan of the jellyfish. I don't remember how you got the recolor of the jellyfish. I don't remember where that one came from.
Me
but I
neither.
didn't get it. So I was quite happy to see this one, and I was like, oh, and that's the trading traveler's log, you know, filling up the bar achievement. So yeah,
the jellyfish
okay.
is the traveler's log one, is it?
Yeah, jellyfish is the traveler's log.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, people were generally quite down on the jellyfish. There are like 3 different colors of shoulder cloak in the trading post these days. The shoulder cloak is my favorite thing.
They are good, but they're like white and black this
white
month.
and black, and like a kind of a dusky like yeah. And I 2 of them are new colors, and I bought them, so I didn't have enough to buy the scarecrow outfit, which is amazing.
Yeah.
The scarecrow transmog is brilliant,
Cute.
and a must
It's really
buy,
cute.
if only for the mask and hat combo, which is like so sweet.
This makes me think of Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, exactly. And I love anything that makes me think of Cillian Murphy. Actually, the hand mount makes me think of Cillian Murphy quite a lot. So I mean, you know, and like, so it's a good trading post, but people were quite down on it because they're like, not everything on here is very spooky, Evie. They were like, the hand isn't very spooky. To which I say,
super
bullshit.
spooky.
Exactly, it's so spooky.
It's literally a skeletal hand.
Like, it's like thing from the Addams family.
Like a giant.
That's what the mount special should have been. It should have been an Addams family.
Oh, yeah. How do you hold on to the hand when anyway?
So you can hold on to it when it's wanking off a giant, but not when it's clicking its fingers.
Or it should. Oh, does it skyride?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think it's flying.
Oh well, you know what it obviously should do.
does it?
It should fly, and it should jump up in the air and then catch you in its palm, and then you can surf on it like
my
what's
God.
his face
Oh my
from
God,
Legend of Vox Machina
would be
with his giant
so
mage hand.
Good. Oh my God, not for the first time in Shadowlands. Blizzard dropped an
Scanlan.
absolute ball with that mount, didn't they? Let's be real.
Yeah. Scanlan on his like mage hand.
So I disagree that the hand isn't very spooky.
Okay.
The scarecrow outfit is definitely very spooky.
Yes.
The jellyfish, I get that that's not very spooky. And, you know, I get it.
It's like a
jellyfish
ghost.
are spooky
It's like a ghostly jellyfish.
they're ugly, like alien things, aren't they? They're scary.
Yeah,
they're not spooky.
they're weird.
They're scary, like a shark is scary. They're scary, like, you know, but I don't know how spooky they are.
Yeah.
But anyway, people were like, surely a better choice would have been Eve's Ghastly Rider.
Yes.
Because that's been on the trading post before.
Exactly.
It's why
a year
I
ago.
own it.
Yeah, exactly a year ago, and it's why I don't own it. Because I was like,
You got really bad with your trading post for a while.
I didn't, because I didn't give a shit for a lot of the time. I was just like, and you know what? That's cool. That's fine. I was like, I don't really care. I don't want to work towards this. I'm not like grinding otherwise. Like, what, so there are things that I haven't gotten. So when they do pop up again on the trading post, like the Zevra or whatever, I'm like, oh, nice. Like I'm the target, demographic for that in a way, because I missed a couple and then I was like, oh, yeah, cool. I did it. Like, nice. It's mine now.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
No, it's
yeah.
true.
But yeah, so now Eve's Ghastly Rider is not on the trading post, and it is rather hilariously on the shop.
Yeah, they've just put it on the shop. That's what this story was about. That's what we were talking about. Yeah, they've put it on the shop. It's $25 dues if you're in the US, which I think is about 100 Australian dollars. It's like £10.50 or whatever. Like it will be £20 probably in the UK.
Yeah, or 22
yeah,
pounds.
that's what it usually is. Which it's just for sale throughout like October. And what do you think about that, Evie? Because I can tell you what the community think about that.
I'm actually quite aligned with the community because, like I said, I was one of the people who missed out on stuff in the past. And it's nice to see it pop back up on the trading post where I can get it because I hoarded my tendies for ages. And then now
hoping that it would come back.
No, I just because there are just loads
nothing to spend it on.
Yeah, because I didn't buy stuff a lot of the time. And now I do. Oh my God, I am like flagrantly just tossing my tendies left and right. So I was quite disappointed to see this pop up on the shop because that felt a bit. Did they really have to? Did they have to put it on the shop tally?
I mean,
do they have to?
I feel like they probably didn't have to put it on the shop.
Tis the season to bring it back to the,
Yeah. Okay, so this actually ties in because obviously everyone hates it. Everyone hates that it's on the shop and not on the trading post. But a lot of people got it on the trading post when it was on there. So not maybe as much anger as you'd expect, but it does actually link into something quite interesting that has happened this week as well that I hadn't even thought of, but I didn't even think about talking about this in the show. But Jason Schreier, the Wall Street Journal journalist who specializes in kind of covering Blizz news, he was the one that kind of broke all the big kind of layoffs and stuff when they happened, and didn't break it. Sounds like he did the investigating on it, but also covered a lot of like the scandal and stuff like that.
Yes.
He has got a book coming out about Blizzard and about the turmoil at Blizzard over the last years. And
I was just looking at this.
He did an AMA on Reddit. Where people asked him a lot about the book, and it's not out, but I'm gonna have to read it, obviously, right, doing our job.
Absolutely.
And someone was asking him about monetization in the game,
right?
And for this book, he's spoken to many people. I think like 300 ex-Blizz employees, and seems to have got some very, very juicy stuff. Indeed, which we won't go into like all today. I'm going to wait until I read the book and we'll talk about it properly later. It's called Play Nice: The Rise and Fall of Blizz Entertainment, I think. And one of the things that really caught my eye in the AMA was someone said, how much did Activision push the whole monetization in the game? And he was like, from my understanding is they didn't. Like, Bobby Kotick did not give a shit about WoW monetization, and because as long as it was bringing in money, that's all he cared about, right? And it was actually Mike Morhaime, cuddly, lovely Mike Morhaime, who really pushed for monetization in all of their games, and really very much kind of insisted that teams that were working on games build them with monetization in mind. Hence, the auction house in Diablo 3, infamously, hence the introduction of store mounts and things like that. And so that was, Activision got involved with that later when games started to fail. But the beginning push from that was very much from Mike Morhaime, apparently. So it's also reported that Mike Morhaime kind of left the company a few years ago just because he was sick of dealing with Bobby Kotick, which is the Mike Morhaime we all like to think of, right?
Exactly. And my understanding is that there was a rift effectively between them with Kotick kind of you know, encouraging all the bad stuff, and Morheim essentially being like, hold on, let's like look after our staff and let's do a little better. And but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to reading the book. Is it out now? When's it out? It is coming out. I think pre-order October 8th.
Okay, great. Soon. So I'll put aside a day and try and read that all in one go, I think, and come up with some notes. See if I can get in there before Portugage.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, definitely some really interesting things come out of that book. But that was the thing that really stuck with me when I read it in the AMA. Was
interesting.
Schreier being like, no, that was Morheim. That was Morheim that introduced store mounts, and seemingly, from what Schreier can tell, very little pushing from like Activision at all. That was something that Morheim kind of championed and sort of. So I don't know, whatever. It's all hearsay essentially, but it's from direct sources. So
sure,
I don't know, whatever, man. So that's the shop. That's the store mount.
Yeah. There are other couple little bits of news in the meantime. They've updated the Ascendance forms.
Have they?
Shaman? Yeah, have you seen this?
No way!
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. So this came out a few days ago, but the original Shaman Ascendance forms, which had a lot of memes.
Okay, your screen's on the screen now. Just
namely around.
Oh yeah, lots of memes. I've got a whole folder.
Trolls.
I've got a whole folder of troll memes.
Yeah, well, guess what, Tally? Your troll memes are out of date because they have updated them with these newer, cooler
they
dudes.
gave him a haircut.
Yeah, no. They just stuck a helmet on top.
Can you just make those a little bit bigger on the screen?
Just stuck a helmet on.
Oh, what? So the hair is still under there.
Hair is still under there.
It slicks down like all WoW helmets. It's made the hair essentially disappear.
Exactly, and you can choose which ones you want to use. So you can use both using a glyph. So you can stick with the troll version, which I thought was kind of cute, maybe except for the hair. But yeah, so they have updated those, which is quite cool.
Okay, I think the community in general is going to be very happy about that because people did not like those other forms. I mean, and I admit they were goofy as all heck. They were very, very goofy and so like weirdly different from the forms that people have got used to. Because all you really want is like a cool high res version of that, which is what these forms are much more, aren't they?
Yeah. And I know I've heard shaman players being like, why can't I just have my Ascendance form be like a cool cyclone with my character in it, or like why can't I like just be, be my character, like but looking like I'm channeling the element. But I know these guys.
That's what glyphs are for, my friend.
Exactly.
Honestly, if I are we having trouble with Evie's mic? Okay, do we have to do a switch on and off? Okay, sorry everyone. Slight 5-minute break. 30-second, 10-second break while I turn the mics on and off.
Right, here we go.
Okay. How is that?
How did that go?
Hopefully that's working again now.
Yeah, let's see.
Before we carry on.
Yeah.
How long have we been streaming for? I need to remember that.
We have been streaming for 62 minutes, Tally.
Okay, great. Okay, that's a nice, easy one to remember. That's good.
Yeah. Oops.
So I'll have to go back and edit that before I put it up on the thing.
All good?
All good now.
Oh, yay!
Yay! So that's funny that it happens like once per podcast. Very annoying. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for letting us know. Really cool. So yeah, the shaman forms are looking good and looking shiny. But yeah, if I was in charge of WoW, that would be my number 2 after player housing, number 3 after playable Tuskar. That would definitely be on my list of priorities, would be expanding the glyph system,
Oh yeah, I remember I used to use glyphs all the time, but then I feel like they were kind of sidelined and they weren't as useful anymore, and they got absorbed into for hunters into like different abilities and things. And
but they should glyphs should only ever have been cosmetic in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
So what I really want is class skins. But I think,
that's the dream.
Yeah, whatever, man. But I think, just expanding the glyph system is the next best thing. So I would have how you have when you have your dragon riding mounts and your dirigible now as well. You know how you've got like a lot of little options that you can change?
Yeah.
But then you've also got like entire appearance options. So, you know, you can change the nose or you can change the tail. But also there's an option for each one, which is like, oh, change it into Storm Razageth. And like you have like the individual skins as well. Yeah. That's what I'd have for the glyph system, right? So I'd have like lots of little ones like, oh, if you're a Shadow Priest, do you want your Void theme to be like a Shah? Or it can appear as like a different type of demon or something like that. So you get little things. Maybe your like stamp leaves a bit of fire, or your charge leaves a bit of fire behind
why
it,
not?
stuff like that. The little things that you can get in there now. But then I'd have like super glyphs, which were like the equivalent of whole appearance change glyphs, which essentially were class skins.
Gotcha.
So there'd be like a glyph that only night elves could use, which would be like Priestess of a Loon sort of thing.
Nice.
And would change all your abilities to be kind of lunar.
Sure. Okay.
Appearances
I
and
like
stuff like
that.
that. So that's how
like
I would
that.
probably use class skins, would be to use the glyph system and still have like individual options you could tweak here and there, but then also have whole class skin-esque mega glyphs that would change the whole kind of appearance of your abilities and stuff like that, which I think would be really, really cool. But yes, absolutely, you could do that. You could have like a little glyph that would change your ascended form into having a cool, like, I don't know, whirlwind or whatever, like people want.
Why not? Why not?
I should have taken the opportunity when the mics were off to have a big cough. Sorry.
You could have. Yeah, you should have. And there are a couple of other things this week. Another one which I thought was quite fun. So there's a new voice pack for Waze.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, this is actually awesome.
Have you heard about this? So
I haven't. Have you heard any of it?
I have not. I have not. So I mean, I have never used Waze because I live in the UK, and as I'm, it might be.
So what is
Waze? If it's around here. Waze is just like a driving app. Like it's just a maps app to get where you need to go. And there is so they've just released, of all characters, a Thrall voice pack for Waze. So Thrall can be your co-pilot.
Oh wait! Can I? Wait! Does it have a?
Yeah, there must be a preview.
1 mile at the roundabout, make a U-turn. If you made a mistake, forgive yourself.
Okay.
We all make them, as I did with Garrosh.
No, that's not true. That's not real.
Make a U-turn. This is not a retreat, merely a tactical maneuver.
That can't be real. That's gotta be a joke.
Outrageous.
No way.
That's outrageous.
The stuff about Garrosh is so extra. That's insane.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I thought it would just be him talking, but the non-stop elaboration is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Oh wait. Sorry, did that not play properly? Okay, sorry, I didn't have it. Like, hang on.
In 0.1 miles at the roundabout, make a U-turn. If you made a mistake, forgive yourself. We all make them, as I did with Garrosh becoming war chief.
Wow.
At the roundabout, make a U-turn. This is not a retreat, merely a tactical maneuver.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's wild. Our cameras have all just frozen on here, but that's okay. No one cares because it's a
That's
podcast,
all right.
Yeah. No
That's
problem
fine.
at all. Yeah, our cameras have frozen. I don't know why that is, but the roundabout one is insane. That's like so extra talking about like Garrosh and stuff.
It's really
wild.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm going to try turning my camera off.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We're gonna do a little quick off and on camera
Well, I
wise.
don't think it was a problem with the camera.
No, it's snap camera. I saw your snap camera thing.
Yeah.
Like load up and do something.
Wow, gosh, we're just not having much luck at the moment, are we?
Yeah, no.
With technical stuff.
Small technical difficulties,
Yeah,
but they happen.
But you can still hear us, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I could choose any WoW character, I don't know if I would choose Thrall to guide my way down the roads, like, you know. And I don't know, like, I appreciate the like emotional encouragement as well from Thrall, but it's just a bit it's a bit much.
Yeah, seriously.
But hey, it's cool. I'm glad it exists. I hope Chris and is getting paid $1 bajillion to do it.
Yeah, me too. I'm just going to switch some things around here.
Sounds good. Tally's just loading.
Did you
my
turn your
face
camera back on
up.
again? Yeah.
I did. Yes, it is on. Yeah, it can't be like a too hardcore. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone whose voice I would like to listen to. Do you know who I would love to have guiding my driving around?
Who?
The bronze timekeeper who does the races. I just think
No way, what?
Yeah,
it is an excellent day for a race. The winds are clear.
Yeah, he sounds a bit like Tom Hiddleston, and he just sounds like an earnest British guy.
Yeah.
So like,
he sounds like a young David Attenborough is what he sounds.
Yeah, exactly. I actually really love his I love his delivery. I think it's really good. I'm always quite pleased to speak with him, which is rare because I don't do the races very often. But
I never speak with him. I just hear him as I fly over a war quest. Like, it is a beautiful day. The wind is fair.
Well, So I want him guiding me, and then I need the skywriting music playing in the background as well.
Oh, right. Well, the new skywriting music in particular is particularly good, I feel.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, in this expansion. And I've got to say, oh man, I just love the expansion. I'm having so much fun with it all at the moment still. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
I want to put that out there. I just want to say it. Anyway, it's time for us to talk about our trip
to Switzerland.
The reason we weren't here this weekend, the reason we didn't do much last week really, because we were preparing for it. We went to Lausanne in Switzerland, which is a town just about 45 minutes outside of Geneva, which is the only place I knew in Switzerland before that. You've been to Switzerland before?
I have been to Switzerland before. I've been to Lucerne, and I've been to Geneva, and way back when in a past life when I did tutoring, like shortly after Tally and I met, I went out to like a boarding school in Switzerland to teach for a week, which was joyful, brilliant, lovely. No, I remember the kids were genuinely really just like actually really nice. So flown out this time, not to a boarding school, but to Lausanne, which was really lovely. Blizz got us out there, which was brilliant, put us up in town, and we got there on Friday night, and then we had a bit of time on Saturday morning and afternoon to do a little bit of walking, exploring, had a look around Lake Geneva. It was joyous. It was really lovely. And then Saturday night we had the WoW 20th anniversary concerts, which is put together by Epic, which is a Swiss organization that does like basically epic music, like cinematic stuff, video games, kind of like pop orchestra, big bang stuff, and they were really great. They got together a huge orchestra, a huge choir. When I say choir, it was like 4 choirs in one. It was absolutely massive. And they did a concert taking us through 20 years of WoW music. Now, we didn't know the kind of format of the concert before it started. We didn't know how it was going to go. And we looked at the program and it just kind of listed every expansion in order. And we were like, oh, okay. But with no War Within. War Within was not listed on there. And we were like,
okay. Yeah. So like getting into the program there.
Yes.
Like, I think when you go into a concert for the 20th anniversary of WoW, and you've probably got some expectations of the things that you're going to hear, right? So before you got there, what were you thinking? Like, we would definitely 1000% hear. This isn't like a completely unique event in that it's the first time these people have done it, but you have the old games festival concerts and things, games music festival concerts that used to happen and what have you. So it's not like an entirely sort of unique kind of thing that's never happened.
It's something people do. So I would expect kind of like greatest hits of WoW, like a bit of Grizzly Hills, some like Invincible and Arthas My Son and Sylvanas stuff. And so I kind of imagined it as, just kind of a a variety show of music.
So like I would expect, these are the ones that I would have bet my house on them playing. Like Elwyn Forest, Stormwind, like Orgrimmar, maybe not Grizzly Hills, but Arthas, Invincible, Jaina's theme, Sylvanas's song, the na 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 na, na 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 na, and Night Song.
Night Song, definitely.
Like all of that. Yeah, like these are the standards, right? This is, like you'd expect them as much as you'd expect to hear like The Streets Have No Name when you go and see U2 or something like that, right? So, yeah, but that's not actually the approach they took. It became clear quite early on in this concert that they were literally, with exceptions, which we'll explain, but essentially what they did was they played the opening suite, as in the login screen.
Yes, like
from every expansion in order.
And it was so funny because they started with vanilla, right? And playing, it was cool. They had a big screen in the background with just clips of usually locations, right? Which was really nice.
Which
and
was
kind of
really
like grounded
helpful as well,
you and stuff. And it was really cool, and because I started playing in Cataclysm, but so we got through kind of the first couple of expansions. It was cool. It was kind of like these like suites, basically, kind of like just a mix of music, and then we got to Wrath, and they literally showed the Wrath login screen, and they were doing that for the other ones as well. But it was only at Cataclysm when they started playing the Shattering, which is the medley,
of login music, yeah.
The medley. It's the whole thing, and they started playing it, and they kept playing it, and I was like, oh, they are literally just playing login screen music.
Yeah, and it was during the Wrath one that I realized, because that's when I started playing.
Yeah, and
so what that means is, though, okay, so first of all, I can completely understand the logic of doing that, right? It's a way of getting, someone's essentially done the arranging in that. And talking to composers, because we met pretty much all of the composers while we were there, which was amazing. It was really good. We had like backstage access, and we got a tour backstage. We met a whole bunch of composers in the green room beforehand, and then there was a meet and greet afterwards as well, like in the theatre, so we could chat to them some more. We know Neil Acree fairly well, kind of socially anyway, which is really, really good. So it was lovely to hang out with him. He did a lot of introducing. Met Jake Lefkowitz, who's my favorite of the new composers. Just absolutely like super dude, and like an amazing composer. He's been behind so much of the cool new like style of music that has kind of been happening in WoW in the last couple of expansions, which I love. And he's a lovely man as well.
Yeah,
like it was all really, really good. And I'll get your screen.
Oh yeah, I was just pulling up some pictures.
And so that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense, right? So if you do the login screen from every expansion, you get by default a nice mix of kind of music from that expansion. So I can understand the thinking of it. In practice, I wouldn't say it was heavy going, but it was like very intense.
It's pretty relentless, right? But I will say this. There were a few of them where they deviated from that, right? So I was thrilled when, the Cataclysm login screen music. The Pandaria one was also awesome. The WAD login screen music is an absolute grade A.
What it means
banger.
Is, though, like every single one starts with the same piece of music, but like a variation on it, right? So, and that's
the only but they did make some. So that was kind of.
But can we talk about that though? Because that is like super intense.
But I'm talking about that because they didn't do that for the Legion one. Which starts off with the like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, I agree with you. So starting with like for every piece, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that.
I liked it as like an exercise. It was kind of cool to like if it hadn't been the 20th anniversary, if I'd just gone to like a WoW concert and they'd done that, I'd be like, why are you, oh my God, stop. You don't need to play every single login screen. Oh my God. Because it was the WoW 20th anniversary, it made more sense thematically to do that. And it was fun to chart like the difference and the variations in the opening themes. So that wasn't really the issue that I had. If I had an issue, it was more that like, by doing the login screen and the overture would be the word for it, I guess. What you're doing is you're getting like a tiny slice of loads of different tracks, but you're not actually getting to really enjoy any of them.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's like if you made a compilation album mix. Imagine, okay, you're in school and there's someone you really like. And, you know, you got talking to them and you're making them a mixtape and you're putting all your favorite songs on this mixtape because, you know, the ones that are going to make them think that you're cool, but also sensitive. And essentially, you know, you want to share something of yourself with them and essentially make them fall in love with you. That's what you want to do. Now, imagine that when you're making that mixtape, what you did was you cut out all of the verses of every single track and just like put in the first chorus of every single track that you put on that mixtape, but then cut out the last half of the last bar of each of those choruses. So it didn't actually pay off any time either. So like you just got 80% of the first chorus of all the songs on this mixtape. And that's what it feels like if you're just listening to the overtures the whole time.
I get what you mean.
Like you get like, you know, you get like a taster. It's like when, you know, in the old days with Amazon Music and stuff, when people used to buy music online.
Yeah.
And, you know, before you bought it, it would give you like a kind of a 5 or 10 second little snippet
just a little
of each
snip.
track. It was like that, but like all mixed together.
I get what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from. But I agree with you. It's I think of it more like jock jams. You guys remember jock jams?
No, what is jock jam?
Jock jams were like CD kind of mixtapes of like stuff that they would play at like assemblies and football games in high school, and it was just a mix of like pop and like hip hop and like literal just like sports music into these medleys. And so so they're all about like 30 seconds long or whatever, to a minute long, and then they're all blended together. Now see, I didn't mind that because I love the medleys or the overtures, if you want to call them that. They're great. They're really good. So I agree with you. It does, you know, but my mind was kind of plugged into that like form basically, where I was like, oh, okay, so I can enjoy these like sometimes like 12 to 15 minute long pieces of music that just take you on a little journey through each expansion. Now, obviously, what you miss with that is the big hitters, because a lot of the core stuff is not in there.
No.
So we did miss out on that. Now, when we got to Dragonflight, it deviated a bit.
First of all, though, like, that means that essentially, also, ironically, the vanilla one was like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it was very
like
short.
That's got a very short login screen, and like the later expansions had much longer ones, because you know these suites, they get longer and longer every expansion. But yeah, it means that there was no Elwyn Forest. It means that until you got to the when they redid the Stormwind music in Mists and it was in the overture, there was no Stormwind. There was no like Barons or Orgrimmar or anything like that, because those aren't in the suites. So like the most I would even go as far as to say like the most iconic music was kind of left out, because the most iconic music is the zone music. It's like the event music, often comes in later patches, none of which is obviously in the overtures and things like that. So yeah, but they did mix it up for some of them, didn't they? Yeah.
So when we got to Dragonflight, what was cool is that we got a bit of kind of the the login screen, but then it transitioned just into like chill. Well, it went into the like dragon flying music, which was incredible to hear, and actually brought like the Dragonflight stuff actually brought a tear to my eye, because it felt so hopeful and beautiful, and like it reminded you, especially after hearing the Shadowlands stuff, which some of it is cool and awesome. Obviously, the music is great, but you just feel like, oh, you're like, oh man. And then just segue into Dragonflight, this like joyful, beautiful, like we got loads of Valdrakken music, like just and it instantly, whereas before I was listening as if I were listening to those overtures and like, as a piece of music, then I was suddenly transported, like, I'm in Valdrakken. I'm waiting to open my Great Vault. I'm turning in a quest at like the Seat of the Aspects. Like, it was so pure. And actually just hearing that bit, I was like, it all should have been like this. It would have been amazing if it was like all
I don't even love the Valdrakken music. In fact, ironically, just a couple of days before, I had reason to go back to Valdrakken to get Brewfest tokens so I could get the Hearthstone. And I was like, the Valdrakken music was playing, and I was like, I'm not ready to come back here yet. This music, I've heard too much of this music.
Yeah,
I'm not liking this Valdrakken music. So when they started playing the Valdrakken music, my heart sank a little bit. But because it was the only track where it was allowed to breathe and it was allowed to just be itself, and it was long enough to enjoy, and it felt amazing. And it was like,
really cool.
it was one of the best things they did in the entire concert, because it was like, that actually, you were actually playing music from the game there. And it really got it. And also, like, they played the whole kind of soundtrack to the Take Flight cinematic, the CGI thing with the dragons that came out before,
like the really pumped up version of like the Dragonflight
good.
music.
And I love it in many ways, so it was really good. But and that's what made I agree with you. I was like, I wish we could have done that for other expansions. Like, once you'd had one of the opening overtures, you have the vanilla one. You open the concert with a vanilla login screen.
Yeah.
100%. Of course you do. But then I want Elwind. Then I want Stormwind.
Yeah.
I want longer than 10 seconds of them.
Yeah, like I kind of would have wish we could have started with like, Elwyn Forest or Stormwind or like Orgrimmar, like start where you would be as a character. And then another thing was like I really liked, it was these kind of like slow panning shots of environments, based on, what expansion you were in. We're listening to the Bastion music or floating around Bastion. It was nice because it helps kind of ground you. Another thing they did from Dragonflight was they played some of the raid music, which is absolutely top tier, and I think extremely underrated, because it's so like, it's really like active and really it's so, there's so many moving parts, and it was like really joyful hearing it with an orchestra playing it live, because they were like really, it was brilliant. Actually, I love the Dragonflight raid music from the raids. So when they're panning around, you see every now and then there'd be like a character. You'd be like, oh, there's the jailer. Jailer music, but one thing that I kind of wish we would have had is more like, I would have loved to have seen Sylvanas. I would have loved to hear Lament of the Highborn, and I would have loved to have seen, Illidan, and hear some like Black Temple stuff. I would have, I would have loved to see Andrew.
Imagine not having Jaina's theme. I would have cried my ass off if they played Jaina's theme.
Oh yeah,
hearing like an orchestra play Jaina's theme would have blown me away. Yeah. The only one that we did get was Anduin's theme, because they played the Legion Overture, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, like you say, they started the Legion Overture with Anduin's theme.
Yeah, they did.
Which is great.
And then there's a bit of Sylvanas in
and that one ends with Lion's Rest, which is amazing.
Oh, it's such a good one.
Like, that's like a classic loading screen. So good.
It
sounds like I'm being kind of down on it.
But
I'm
you're
not.
No,
it was an amazing concert. It was so good. I loved
brilliant.
it.
But I think we, in our case, we were like, well, what if we did a concert? Like, what would it look like? Because there's so much. They rarely happen. We were talking with Neil and loads of the other composers. Oh my God, like Russell Brower was there. Glenn Stafford was there. Like, you had kind of, I was like the golden oldies. They've been around for a while, and they've been making
such cool dudes as well.
They're amazing, absolute classics. Plus, loads of the new guys like Leo Kaliski, just really awesome like mix of kind of like old and new faces. I mean, some dudes who have been composing for decades and who have like really created the sound of WoW. But talking with them, it's like they're like, this never happens. We never do this. Like, you might hear a bit of WoW music in kind of like a games, like video games live concert, things like that. But this kind of wholly dedicated to WoW, it never happens. One, because no one's asked us, and two, it's orchestrations are really difficult to do. And we were talking to the guy who handles all of the orchestrations, and he was like, yeah,
for Blizz, and has them for like years. Yeah,
and you hear this music, especially in WoW, which is, I would say, like video game orchestral. Like it's orchestral music. It kind of deviates into like some different instrumentations and things, but sounds to you like a big orchestra on stage with the mix of horns and brass and percussion and strings. But we take it for granted because the way they record is actually much more like, okay, we'll do this string track and this string track and this string track, and then we're going to layer all of them, and then we're going to get all the other.
Yeah, they don't actually have the whole orchestra in a room.
They never do. Very rarely.
Which is wild. That blew my mind.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, of course that makes sense, because that's just how we work in recording. But because of that, they're these kind of like full orchestrations for a full orchestra to play, with like a conductor guiding them and everything, and all written out, and all working together simultaneously. They don't really exist in many cases. So they have to be written, and put together and composed. So it was really fascinating. So things you wouldn't necessarily consider like that. But it's one of the reasons events like this don't happen often, because it's actually really hard to put together. So the fact that it did come together and they made it happen was like brilliant. And I mean,
so I'm not being down on it. I want to make that very clear. It was an incredible experience, and
it was
to have
oh my gosh,
and we can see on screen right now, if you're watching this show, they really kind of lent into the community side of it. So there was a huge kind of banner that people would sign with their kind of like guild and what have you, and like server and stuff. It was really cool. There were loads of other creators and stuff there as well,
as
cool. well as the composers. It was fantastic. Now, they did, of course, because there'd been a riot and they'd have burnt the place down if they hadn't. They did come back for like an encore at the end, where they did Invincible.
Well, hold on.
No. Like, I'll get to that. But like they did Invincible to finish with a singer, and they did the whole track, and it was wild. And obviously people were like, oh yeah, people crying and stuff. I just feel like they could have had people crying nonstop all the way through if they'd had like Elwyn Forest and Jaina's theme and stuff like that. But that was not a surprise. Like that was not a surprise. What was a surprise was they opened the encore with War Within.
Yeah, so they started playing the War Within kind of login stuff, and then they went straight into Hallowfall.
Oh yeah,
which was beautiful, and they played a bit of Hallowfall. And then that was it.
And when they came on, and they were like, "We've got a couple more things for you," and everyone's like, "Well, it will definitely be Invincible, right?" But they started playing War Within.
Yeah.
And we've been sitting there, and everyone we spoke to had seen the lineup of being like, "Oh, what a shame there's nothing from War Within."
Yeah.
And when they started playing War Within, literally, it got a huge round of applause, like one of the biggest like the only round of applause that any of the tracks had got when they started. At that point.
Yeah.
And we were talking to Neil afterwards, and he was like, "I was actually really surprised that people were so happy to hear War Within." I was like, dude, it is a banger. People love War Within. Like, and this is like true. It's that feeling. I'll never forget when Legion came out, the BlizzCon that was immediately after Legion coming out. And I was watching the Q&A, the WoW Q&A for BlizzCon, and multiple people, when they got to the front of the queue and they got to the microphone, started their question with like, "Thank you for Legion. It's brilliant." Like there was that vibe of like, oh, thank God, we've got a really good expansion. Like this is, above and beyond, really great. And that's what it felt like when the War Within music came on and everyone started clapping. It was like, yeah, the War Within music is cool, but it was a clap for the War Within. It was a clap for the expansion, because everyone's having a really, really good time with it right now, which I thought was awesome.
It felt really, really good. So it was a great way to kind of like wrap up the show.
Oh, because there was a choir as well, by the way. Like, in fact, there were 3 choirs all together. There was like 3 choirs worth of people, and it was a community choir with like a real kind of hardcore WoW player conducting them and stuff. So and you forget how much of this music is based around choirs and singing and stuff. Like they're in every single track.
Stuff where they're not really kind of foregrounded. There's always this like choral sound in the background. And, so it was great.
It was amazing, but
great.
I know it's very, very easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, is Evie's mic being weird again?
Could be.
What's that?
Could be. I was just gonna press some buttons.
Hopefully. Hopefully that's a bit better. So it's easy for me to sit here, right, and be like, "Oh, can you say something?" Just
Yeah. What do you think?
That'll do.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, well, these are the tracks that I would have chosen, and it would have been much better. It would have been really, really good. But yeah, I do think we could have had them in tiers all the way through by including certain tracks and just letting the tracks breathe and stuff like that. You've got a song in there anyway, right? You've got a singer in there anyway, so why not have some more singy ones and stuff as well?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like kind of more focus on the characters. Like I feel like I would kind of foreground characters rather than places. But I absolutely loved it. It was a blast. It was
so
the
reason I say that, sorry, is because my question to you guys would be, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, please put in the comments below what tracks you would absolutely need to have in your 20th anniversary concert. Like for me, I'd have to have Elwind in there, like Elwyn Forest. I'd have to have Jaina's theme. Way of the Monk you didn't get, obviously, because that would be really good. And extended Anduin's theme, the Sylvanas song. What else is there? Like
Daughter of the Sea.
Daughter of the Sea. Yeah, exactly. That would have been incredible.
Well, I mean, it is in game, isn't it? So.
And by the way, the BFA login when they got that was my god, that was so good.
Yeah, BFA.
But anyway, we have to move on. But let us know in the comments below what you would have.
Yes.
That would be brilliant. But of course, I have made promises here to people. We had it wasn't just us there. There was lots of other creators there too.
Yeah.
There was. Have you got a photo there?
I'm gonna pull it up in a second. I think it's
I
here.
always,
It is.
yeah.
I got it. There we are. Look. There's the gang.
So we've got Marcellian.
You got Jesse, and of course Vario is there, being our tireless ringleader.
Who's that guy in the amazing trousers?
I don't know.
And the really nice tweed suit jacket. Wow, he's handsome. I like him. Got Evie, and look, Evie was upset there weren't enough photos of your amazing fit that you were wearing.
Yeah,
that
you
night.
can't really
You
see
do look
it.
great. You've got a lovely
can't
scarf
really see
on.
it.
You got a nice skirt, which are also shorts.
Excuse me, it's called a skort.
Skort,
It's called a skort.
and like knee-high boots, very nice.
Yes.
Noble himself, who is so handsome.
know.
I was actually a bit jealous of you standing next to Noble for this photo. I've got to be honest. He is so handsome. This sounds like I'm taking the piss. I'm not. I genuinely think he's like one of the most handsome men I've ever seen. And Annie Fuchsia. And by the way, how great was it after the concert? We all went back to the hotel and we were like, let's go back to the hotel
Right.
and we'll all have drinks together. Everyone was up for it. Everyone was up for a
Yeah,
party.
everyone was
Neil
like,
Cree was coming. Neil Cree was like, can I come in your Uber? And we were like, yes, you can.
Come
and we were
join
like,
us.
let's go to the hotel and let's have loads of drinks because we were all staying at the hotel. And they stopped serving when we got there.
Not only that. So we a bunch of us arrived at the hotel. We all got in and got to the bar. This is a bar at a hotel, right? Like a hotel
On a
bar.
Saturday
On
night,
a
no
Saturday
less.
night. And we got there and we see Noble has 2 drinks. And
Two
he's-
mojitos, no
yeah,
less.
two,
Oh.
yeah, and he's like, that's it, guys. And we're like, what? And apparently the bartender was like, and Noble was like, yeah, I'll have these 2 drinks, please. And he's like, there you go. And then the next person went up and the bartender was like, no, that's it. That was last orders.
Didn't tell anyone.
Didn't tell
He
anyone.
served Noble
There's a
his drink
huge-
and
there's a
then
crowd.
didn't serve anyone else.
There's a crowd of like 15 people. And we're like, so.
And this hotel bar was full of people drinking, by the way.
Still loads of people. And we were like, yeah, so is it okay if we just, do you mind if the rest of us just get in? He's like, no, that was it. That was last orders. And he's like, well, you didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And if you did, then Noble could have gotten everyone around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and
seriously.
it was so, I mean, I am not one for stereotypes, but it was such like a rude thing to do.
It was rude,
That
and
you might
you haven't stopped
that-
talking about it ever since it happened. Whereas the reason I bring it up was not to be angry at the hotel, really, but just to kind of get to the point where, you know, a lot of people went to bed, and it was like, oh, sorry guys, we're gonna have a nice night. We quickly looked online to see if there were any bars around, but there weren't really. We were like, well, we need something to drink, just anything. So we need like a Coke or like something, or some water. Or something. And we did know there was a McDonald's around the corner which should be open, even at midnight. So what resulted from all of this was at about 1 a.m. in the morning, Taliesin, Evitel, and Annie Fuchsia were in a Swiss McDonald's, just getting some water and some stuff, and it was that was lovely. Well, okay, so I got a Coke, you got water. Annie Fuchsia had like a 6-course meal. She was like, "Yeah, I'm having a burger, I'm having nugs, load me up,
I'm eating
man."
dinner.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But
it
you know,
was
I did have to kind of go, oh, we're just wandering around Switzerland in the middle of the night with Annie Fuchsia right now, and that's a pretty cool place to be.
We got to have a nice chat, and I'll just do a quick shout out to Jayhan, who's in the chat.
Hey,
who's
Jayhan,
part of,
hey!
Helva Pick. Congratulations again, guys, on such a
It was
amazing
and the
event.
whole event was amazing as well. That's the thing. It was like such a good thing.
Oh my
the concert
God,
was brilliant, and no one had anything but good
loved it.
words to say about it afterwards. I think it was like a really meaningful event for a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
really,
and it
really
brought
great.
loads of people together, and it was so cool that like people traveled in, like, you know, it was a really, really big thing. But yeah, the McDonald's, and so we just grabbed a McDonald's, and we'd have all loved to like go out and have a drink, but for whatever reason, Lausanne seemed to be quiet at midnight on a Saturday, and we were like,
because we were all up for a party, we were all up for a drink. It was like, you know, it'd been so good. And, you know, we didn't want to pull the whole "do you know who I am" kind of thing, but this is not like, I guess he'd served Noble. He served the most important person.
I think this is just I think we're especially burned because this is in stark contrast to our hotel in Cologne, where we got back late one night. We went up to the bar. Dude gave us loads of free drinks and a tray full of donuts.
Yeah, like,
he was like, you guys just, you know
Gamescom
what I mean?
had that shit down, man.
Yeah, exactly. Gamescom, the vibe at Gamescom was like in Cologne was immaculate. They were like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. We're closed, but you just have all these drinks and a tray of donuts. You deserve the donuts.
Go for it. You do deserve the donuts.
You
Yeah,
deserve the
exactly.
donuts.
I completely agree. So I did promise you scandal. I promised you intrigue.
Oh, right.
I promised you, So you can see all the creators that were there, you know, and we'd had a tour.
Mm-hmm.
We'd signed the thing, and we were sat down in beautiful seats to watch the show. And about 10 minutes into the show,
Yeah.
a phone went off.
And it's like it's like the iPhone like alarm. It's like da 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 da. It's that.
And
it's
like
that one.
everyone was
you know
like,
that one.
Oh, I don't think anyone beyond our kind of row really heard
No,
it. To be honest.
exactly.
But,
No one actually heard it.
We were
but
like,
it-
oh no. And,
It happened to be the person who was sitting next.
what? No. I'm trying to build the intrigue, Evie. So, you know, the fact that we could hear it, it was clearly one of the creators, right, in the row. Okay, so, you know, your first reaction is obviously, dear fucking God, please don't let it be me.
Yeah, of course. 'cause,
That's
that
the
could have been
first
my
thing.
phone.
It's like, the first thing that comes to mind isn't anger, isn't like frustration. It's not, oh, someone's phone is going off. The first thing that comes to mind is, oh, dear God, please don't let it be my phone. And, you know, I checked my phone multiple times, turned it all down. So, oh, you got the sound?
Yeah, I'm just setting it up.
Weird that you've got the sound on your phone, Evie.
Oh.
One might say a coincidence that you've got the sound on your phone. Almost like...
No, not that one. Sorry.
No, it wasn't a fucking nuclear apocalypse alarm. It wasn't a get to the shelters.
No. What's the classic? No. No.
Like
you know the one.
you knew it was an alarm sound because you've got an iPhone and I don't.
Yeah.
But like it just sounded like a phone going off to me. It sounded like someone was ringing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like all of the creators in this row just instantly went like just kind
We're
of
all
like tapping themselves down, and it was like, this is, oh no, please don't let it be me. I realized quite soon it wasn't me, and I was like, okay, good. I realized quite soon it wasn't Evie, because as Evie said, it was the person sitting next to Evie in the row. Chat, I'm going to give you a few seconds while Evie finds this noise now.
Yeah.
please put in the chat who you think it was out of these creators on the stream. Who was it whose phone went off scandalously in the middle of the concert? Look at those beautiful faces. I know you don't think it could be any of them.
It could, no.
But it was one of them,
was one.
Internet. Who do you think it was? Have you got the sound there, Evie?
I'm trying to find it.
If you place yourself there in Lausanne, in a beautiful concert hall.
Okay, let's see.
Music's playing, everyone's crying. Oh, it's so emotional, it's so brilliant. And then suddenly...
Let's see. Suddenly it's... No. No.
Everyone thinks it's novel. No one thinks it was Annie. That doesn't surprise me. Most people think it's novel.
No.
I would love it if it had been that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, was that them? Oh, it sounds like someone's just ringing them. And it was going off over and over again until it was turned off.
Yeah,
like this person had to go into their pocket, pull out their phone, and turn it off. And Internet, I will now reveal who it was. It's fucking Marcellian.
It was
Marcellian's phone went off, and oh, bless him. I was like, oh, just thank God it's not me. But that's not even the best part of the story.
So good. So he was sitting next to me, and I hear it going off, and he's just like, shit. And he just like pulls out his phone and he's fumbling with it, and it's like he's holding it in his like lap, and he's like trying to turn it off, you know, that thing where you don't instantly turn it off because you're like, oh, panic, and I can't help but see because it's just there in his hand, but the alarm, you know how it has like a little you know it's like alarm or whatever, it literally says publish video.
And I was like, do you know what?
Like an alert to publish a video. And I'm like, that is so pro. And I was like, bless you.
And honestly, that's the only reason we're telling this story is because that is like the most Marcellian thing. Like if a phone had just gone off, like no one on stage heard it, none of the rest of the audience heard it, who cares? Like we wouldn't even bother telling that story. But the fact that when you looked over and saw him fumbling with his phone, his alarm said, publish video.
Yeah,
and I was like, ain't that the life, man?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
we all relate to that.
We've all been there. We've all been there. And like no one heard it. Like no one heard it anywhere else. And like we're not saying this to embarrass him or anything because it was obviously like a nothing. But it was just so funny how it just said publish video. Like the alarm went off.
Respect.
From so it was
but it was an amazing event. It was really good to hang out with Flame from Marcellian Online. So I always but we see him at like every event these days. He's a really nice guy. I really like him. It was great to hang out with Noble and Annie Fuchsia and everyone else, Jesse and Varia as well. Varia, who's like the best community outreach person.
It's true.
I would go as far as say the best that they've ever had. She's just great. She's really good. So we love her. We just got time for some
we're gonna have to do
super chats.
We're gonna have to be quick.
Well, if you have to run, you have to run,
exactly.
But that's how it goes. So from Rico, this is your friendly super chat reminder. Thank you, Rico. We rely on you every single episode. Alexandru, first human shaman, please, Blizz. Yes, human shaman. Definitely. Yes, please. Especially with the new shaman forms, right? I'm a firm believer in just extending basically everything to everyone at this point, right? In terms of classes and things like that. Aaron Fundor, Williams, do you think any legacy hero characters will die in this expansion or an upcoming expansion? And if so, who?
Oh, I mean, gosh. You know, our guy, the big guy, Chris Metzen. Didn't Chris Metzen see he has like a hit list?
I think that was a joke. Well,
so
Chris Metzen in that interview, he did say they had a hit list, but he also said that they take the idea of killing characters incredibly seriously, and it's something that they're going to really try, essentially not to do, for want of a better way of putting it. But I think we've seen that with Khadgar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because, when that interview with Chris Metzen came out, Khadgar was considered to be gone by many, many people, and now obviously he's not. And I think, that has certainly set an expectation and lots of people are upset that Khadgar didn't die in a way. No one's upset that Khadgar isn't dead, but in terms of it kind of showed that he might be and sold it in a certain way, and it's like, hey, he's not dead. Look, guys.
Yeah.
And
but
do you think it cheapened it? Or?
I loved it actually because it didn't feel like it was his time, and it didn't feel like the death was given enough like justice. Like, so I didn't believe he died. I mean, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. No.
And
exactly.
having him come back, it makes sense because the dark heart is broken. Clearly, he was like in a like particulate matter Khadgar, like arcane energy Khadgar, and now he's kind of zapped back out of it, and it's there for a purpose. Like, he's going to tell us what he saw in there. Like, he's clearly going to share something about Zalatath's power. Like, this hasn't just happened for funsies. Like, he's a device, and he's going to reveal more to us, right? And he knows something is up. He knows kind of what is up with Illyria. So I was delighted to see him come back, and it made me really happy and emotional, and also I love him.
And I also wouldn't put a huge amount of money on him surviving the World Soul Saga. So, don't get too used to
Wait, you think he's gonna die now?
I think he might, yeah.
You think now that we've had this?
Well, here's the thing. He's such an obvious character to get rid of because the actor is getting older. He is symbolic of one of the characters that has always been in WoW and stuff like that, and what have you. And actually, the whole Khadgar death thing is one of the things that I'm really, really glad that I got spoiled on. I'm really glad that, I could enjoy the feeling of, oh no, Khadgar's gonna die in the lead up to War Within, because like you say, the second I saw it actually happen in game, I was like, oh, I know he's not dead. And like so that cinematic makes it quite clear that he's not dead. I think as soon as we saw it, everyone was like, oh, he's not dead. Whereas we'd had like months in the build up going, can't believe Khadgar's gonna die, what a shame. And we could only get that because we'd been spoiled. So like I am, if I didn't do this channel and I didn't have to know, I like to think I'd stay relatively spoiler free. But in that instance, I think getting spoiled was actually quite a good thing and increased my enjoyment of that situation.
I get what you mean.
So I reckon Illyria, Taliesin. I'd watch out for those guys.
Someone's commented, that like Taliesin is a good way for Zalatath to get to Illyria.
Exactly. And they're making Taliesin very inoffensive right now. They're really pushing how understanding and loving he is. Right.
He's always there. She always comes back to him. But like, what if there's no one to?
Taliesin is like this close right now to turning around and going, hey, this is my last job before retirement. I feel like after this battle, I'm just going to retire, live on a farm somewhere. It's like, well, then he's for it then. Yeah, exactly.
But likewise with Khadgar, it's like he's been weakened. Like, he's had his kind of big moment. It's kind of like show moment. He's in recovery and he's kind of depleted. So he's vulnerable. Yeah, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Sylvanas, I think, will almost certainly die in Midnight. She'll come back, defend Kel'Thuzad, and die. And that will actually be really beautiful and really wonderful because it'll be, the squaring of the circle.
She'll have like a true death.
Yeah, exactly. And she'll do it defending her home, which she failed to do in the first place. And failing to do that is what turned her into Sylvanas, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think Sylvanas is the one I'd put all my money on. Yeah. But if I was Taliesin, I'd be getting pretty nervous right now. Yep. If I was Illyria, I'd be getting pretty nervous.
I think Illyria is safe.
I think you're probably right.
But Taliesin, not so much.
Yeah, I think Taliesin is. No, Taliesin is not going to be turned into a lightbound puppet. I think if there's one thing the game is definitely showing us at the moment, it's that all of that talk for years about Taliesin being some kind of light zealot and light Nazi or whatever, it's just not true. It's just not what he is. He's just like a chill old dude, basically, who loves his wife and his kid.
That's what you think.
Well, until he gets mercilessly killed by Zalatath. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So basically, So Taliesin, I'm nervous for. If I was any of the Titans, I'd be pretty nervous.
I mean, things are not looking good for them, are they?
And honestly, Thrall, why not?
No, Thrall can't die. That would be insane. That would be like absolutely unfathomable. No.
Okay, I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there.
Thrall fangirl, but like, he cannot go. That would not.
The extra worst part about Bran on Zekvir for me was when he decided not to dispel me the one time I mess up. Then he says, we got to stick with a strategy. He's such a goof, man. He's like, so when I want to drop the dot, and I press fade as obviously that makes Zekvir start attacking Bran. And Bran often gets feared and runs out of the room. And as a Shadow Priest, I can't grip him back in. So I just have to pray that he doesn't reset the fight. Like 8 minutes in, when I drop the dot and Zekvir starts chasing him out.
Yeah.
He's such a dick, man.
Yeah.
But he is much better than he used to be, I've got to say. But yeah, we've all got our...
It's true.
That one time Bran absolutely dicked me story. Please put that one time Bran dicked me story below. I'd love to hear it. Maybe we'll have a read of all the best that one time Bran dicked me stories in the chat. That'd be really good. We'll read them next episode.
I've got to go to pick up with the kids, so I've got to run. But Tally will continue to entertain you for the remainder of this podcast and answer all of your beautiful super chats. Thanks guys. I will catch you next time. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for hanging out.
Sorry.
I appreciate you.
We'll just reincarnate 3 days later if he dies.
It's possible. Okay. Cheers guys. Have fun. Bye.
Oh, thank you, Evitel. Ladies and gentlemen, Evitel leaving the building. I hate to say goodbye, but I love to watch you leave. Does that mean I like looking at your ass? Is that what that sentence means? Huh. It's true. 100% not Thunders. Are there any achievements for Transmog or story locked behind Renown I should be working towards? Almost geared for heroic place, so need another goal. There's no story stuff locked behind Renown rewards this expansion. They specifically decided not to do that. But yeah, there is the Transmog sets behind there, and also you get like the kind of the blue gem things which you use to buy the Transmog sets as well. But nothing you have to rush for. Complete it very organically and just do it that way. It would be my advice. But I don't think I think I'm right in saying there's no story quest. I'm not doing very well on my Renown, I have to say. So, I mean, other people might have to help on that one. Another comment from 100% not Thunders. Good morning, T&E. I am not Thunders. That dude sucks. But if I were, I bet he'd like to know if Tally has gotten his 200 tokens to get his Mead Brewfest Hearthstone. Not Thunders. The real Thunders whispered me in game to keep me on track and make sure I was getting my Brewfest tokens, because I don't really do holidays. I'm not a holiday kind of guy in WoW. But I, inspired by the real Thunders, I did actually go and get my 200 Brewfest tokens. I did quite enjoy it, I have to say. And I did, in fact, only because the real Thunders pressured me to, basically bullied me to, peer pressured me to, I got my Brewfest Hearthstone, which looks terrible on a human female, but on a dwarf character is brilliant. So yay, thank you for that. Thank you for basically, well, not you, but Thunders, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the little push. Christopher Moniz, always good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being in our super chats once again. I see Beladar in the relief, wrapped in what looks like a prison next to an old god, the one from their video where Ansarek kills her mum. Is that implying Beladar in the world soul is the world soul, or that it's a Naru? Good question, Dragnossi. So yeah, the kind of the relief. I always call it a fresco, but it's not a fresco. Like the big wall carving that's in the final room of City of Echoes, the boss room, and which they use in the Ansarek 2.5D animation. The one which famously Xalatath comes crawling out of Ringu style. Yeah, it does have a big crystal thing sort of floating in the sky with light emanating off it. And many people think it's Beladar. I'm not saying it's not Beladar. I think it definitely could be Beladar. It's certainly more elaborately designed and fashioned and, ornate than Beladar is. But it's purple, so it could be Beladar in Void phase. Okay. My initial reaction when I first saw it was that it's not Beladar. My initial reaction when I first saw that relief, that carving, was that it was literally Xalatath. Like, that is what Xalatath looks like. And that was her being worshipped by the denizens of Ashgahet and the old gods and the void people that lived there. And she was literally in the sky, light, void light emanating off her. People are literally bowing to her. We literally see that in the cinematic as well, with her recognizable form, her elf form, being worshipped kind of deity style. And my initial reaction when I first saw that in alpha, that room, was that was literally Xalatath. I still think I believe that. In which case it wouldn't be Beledar, but maybe Xalatath and Beledar are kind of related. You know how like in Korra you have like the void and the light beings, and they're kind of like wrestling with each other, but it turns out the light one was just kind of keeping the void one in check. They weren't like wrestling so much. It was like literally just, stopping the other one taking over the world. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe they are the same thing from light and void, and maybe Xalatath has trapped Beledar there. I don't know. Who knows? What I don't think is that Beledar is the world soul. That doesn't make much sense to me. I know that Anduin says it sounds like the Radiant Song is coming from Beledar when they first get to Hallowfall. But I think even he doesn't think it's actually coming from there. What it could be is like what is quite interesting is we see Xalatath in the cutscene towards the end of the campaign, when the black blood and all like the void energy and the like the fury and the anger that she is kind of making happen in that zone at the time, she's channeling it through void Beledar, like into the heart of darkness. All that black blood and the magic and the energy from black blood and all the anger from the fighting and stuff, it's kind of being channeled through Beledar like a prism, and it's kind of like being zapped into the heart of darkness from there. And I guess the Radiant Song could have been doing the same thing, could have been emanating from Beledar, like being channeled through Beledar. Maybe that's how we're hearing it, but it's actually coming from somewhere else. That's my thinking. I don't think Beledar is the world soul, but that's not to say that I'm right. I'm often wrong about kind of everything. So but yeah, like if Beledar isn't a Naru, it's certainly very Naru adjacent, isn't it? Yeah, 100%. Even its like light void cycle makes it kind of Naru adjacent as well. It's really interesting that it turned voidy for the Arathi for the first time when Sargeras' sword was kind of put into the world. I would wonder if it's ever been voidy before that. Something I'd love to learn. I'm sure we will. Buddy, mate, you have to race change your main. What's it going to be? How could I ever race change my main? But if I think it would depend on precisely the day of the week that you asked me this question. But today, if I had to race change my main, I'd change it to a goblin. Just because I think that would be kind of cool as the game progresses. I think the next patch, like most people, I think the next patch in War Within is going to be very, very goblin-centric. And I'm actually really starting to get excited about that. I think the goblin stuff in the War Within is really good. And I think they could have a lot of fun with it. And I want to be part of that fun with my rocket boots. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be great. Obviously, what I would... given the choice of anything, I'd just give her some pointy ears and make her an Arathi, okay? That's all. Because she's a female right now, so I just give her some pointy Arathi ears and let her become an Arathi. Alexa Gaming, it was such a pleasure to meet you guys this weekend in Lausanne. I'm very grateful for the quick chat we had and was so moved by your openness, kindness, and sincerity. Hope to meet you again sometime soon. Oh, that was lovely. Thank you so much. What a great way to end the super chats. That is so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely to meet you too. Lovely to meet everyone that we met in Lausanne. It was a really, really nice place. It was like, like a little mini BlizzCon. So many cool people. Everyone just wanted to say hi and have a really cool time. And it was just a very lovely, vibey place to be. And I will treasure those memories probably forever. It was fantastic. And Lausanne, great town. Apart from the fact it all closed at midnight, really lovely town. So yeah, and just great restaurant and cafe culture there as well. Really up our alley. It was one of those places where we're like, wow, wish we were really rich so we could live here. Not that all Swiss people are rich, just like relatively, everything seems quite expensive over there. So we were like, yeah, we could live here, but we'd have to be really rich. We'd really enjoy it. It'd be fantastic. So I don't know, man. A few more super chats and we'd be go. So before we go today, just a reminder for everyone who's watching this live or listening later on, but currently on sale for a limited time only, and we'll put a link to this in the description below, is our Redbot Spoilerbot plushie that we've had made specially by Makeshift. We hit the goal a little while ago when we put it out to petition. We've now sold over 400 of these bad boys. But it will only be on sale for another couple of weeks. Go and check out the page below. See if you want one, and check out our Twitter as well, because we are running a giveaway for 2 of these as well, and you won't have to buy it or anything, but they're, you know, very reasonably priced if you ask me. And the design is amazing. They're just so cute, so lovely. If you want one, there's only a limited amount of time to get one. So I think they have ETAs on the actual page there itself. So go and check that out. For those of you pre-ordered, it's not looking like it's going to get there for Christmas, I'm afraid. Really sorry about that. Blame them, not me. But anyway, this is awesome. It's really, really cool. I believe it ships worldwide. Yeah, so have a look. But thank you, everyone who joined us today. Sorry we didn't get this happening yesterday and that we had to abandon the episode after just a few minutes because my mic wasn't working and we couldn't fix it live on air. I'm really glad so many people came to watch the show today. Maybe we'll start doing it on Wednesday permanently, actually, because it's just a really good time to have the podcast. I don't know. Let us know. Should we keep it on a Tuesday, or would you prefer if we moved it to a Wednesday? Let us know in the comments if you care. And if not, comment something else. But do comment though. Thank you to everyone who watched live. Thank you to everyone who's watching the VOD on YouTube, on our main YouTube channel. Thank you to everyone who's listening to this on your preferred podcast listening platform. From me, Taliesin, and Evitel. Until next time, cheerio.